So following on from changing the discs and pads that I did the other day, I'd forgotten about, and I don't know how I'd forgotten that on my MOT there was an advisory that I'd got a bit of brake binding on the passenger side, and then when I put the new discs and pads on, it was definitely binding. So known issue here. It's either one of two things. I would have thought it's either the sliding pins inside the caliper, or it's the piston inside the caliper. So what I've done, you can get two new front calipers for about £80. At the moment I just don't have that, so what I've gone for is two piston kits. So they come with a new piston, all the seals that you need, some grease, new bleed nipple. Actually doubles up on a couple of these bits that are in this kit. So this kit is your new sliding pins for the caliper, new bolts, new rubbers for the sliding pins. And then I thought, if I'm just doing the whole thing, I'll buy new the metal bits. I can't remember what they're called, for the caliper as well, that the pads slide in. So I bought the whole lot. I'll put links down in the description of the video, so if you're doing this and you want to copy it and you want to get these bits, then obviously you'll have the links to do that. Let's get stuck in and see if we can get this sorted. So I've turned the steering just to get better access to this caliper. Yeah, there might be a little bit of binding there, but I think it's good maintenance to get this still sorted. So need to get this off again. So I won't have to take the carrier off, so it's just the caliper. So I believe that's a 14. There we go. So these bolts and everything come in the kit, so won't need to put these bolts back in. So that's the two bolts out. And in theory, it will slide off, which it has done. I haven't got my tie wrap ready, so that's going to have to sit up there for a second, and then we'll have a look at this lot. Okay, this could go completely wrong, but I'm on my own today, and what you're trying to do is get this piston out of the caliper. Normally, if I had a compressor, I'd take off the hose, I'd put pressurized air in, and that should blow the piston out. The other way is, the hard way, is normally getting the rubber off, getting two screwdrivers and easing it. What I'm going to try and do now is basically press on the brake pedal. This is going to come out, and then it's going to make loads of mess, but that's the way I'm going to do it. Okay, that's out, and then you want to crimp off the hose. So I've just got ratchet. Hopefully that's going to do it. So that has pressed out the piston. My first impressions are it's not horrendous. There's a bit of rust build up, but not a lot. Now I'm going to take the hose off so I can take this off the car and do it. Okay, I've got the caliper off. I put the caliper just back on the bracket quickly and undid that bolt just so I could get some leverage. So you've got the seal on the outside. See that little lip? That's what's sitting in a groove. Sitting in a groove in the inside. I call that corrosion. I'll have to try and get some of that off. That's your seal. Yeah, there's a little bit of clean up on this area. And then you've got another rubber seal in there which is what seals the actual piston, so that's in the kit, so we're going to replace that as well. So what I'm probably going to do is just clean this up with some maybe a wire wheel, and get that sorted first. So this little rubber seal in here, that's getting replaced. As I push it back in, that's getting replaced, so that comes out as well, and now the cleanup begins. So before you take the old bleed nipple out, what I've done is I've really cleaned up around it, and then you get a new one in the kit, so I've undone that slightly. So take out the old bleed nipple, because these can get rounded off. Oh, what that gunk is. Wow, okay. Brake cleaner is always good. Don't really know how to clean in there, so it's going to have to be a new bleed nipple in. Don't want it done up because you'll stop the air coming out when you put the piston in. So I've been using a small screwdriver and nano screwdriver and going into these grooves and cleaning them up. Annoyingly, I've run out the brake cleaner that's actually got some power behind it, so it looks like I'm going to have to scrape this all out the hard way. So see me in 10 minutes. So I've cleaned that out the best I can. I've cleaned into all these grooves, tried to get as much rust off as possible, cleaned inside the bore. So what we've got now is this is the replacement seal that goes inside the bore of the piston. That goes inside the piston bore if I don't throw it away. There we go. So that's inside there. So before you put the piston in, you're going to want to put a bit of brake fluid on there to lubricate it, otherwise it's not going to work. One of the hardest bits is always going to be trying to put the rubber on and then the piston. There's no real easy way of doing this. So the piston comes all lubed up because they don't want it to rust in the packaging, but don't know if that's what you want when it's actually going in. Clean all these things and then touch them with my filthy hands. Right, so a little bit of brake fluid on your finger. It's there. I may even put a bit on there. Okay, so that's the piston. So my improvised workbench is my car. I'm just trying to get it up to a level that I might actually be able to do some stuff. So it's probably a really clever way of doing this, and I don't know it. Now the rubber's come out. So for my next trick, I've taken the piston and I've put the seal on it so that the bit that goes into the caliper is sticking down, and I'm hoping this is going to give me a way of pushing it, getting that first part in. Right, so the piston's going in, but is this part of the seal going to flip up into that bit? That's the absolutely not known bit. Wow, I think it has. So the best thing to do is get your piston with the top here, put the rubber over the top and let it hang down. So basically the seal is around the piston with it hanging down with the bit that needs to be tucked into the caliper, and then just kind of hover the piston over it, and then tuck the rubber in, and then push the piston back in. So it's been fun, but I think we're there. So I do actually need to take the carrier off because I think it would be easier. I've got to do the pins and I've got to do the little brackets and stuff. So from memory, that's a 17. So when you get your bracket, these sliding pins are actually different. So you get one each of each side. One has got these like flats on it, and one's got this chamfer or whatever, and this one is where a little rubber goes in, and I believe the rubber is all it's there is to stop vibration. That's all it really is there for. So let's have a look, see what ones we get. Got to remember which side they come out. Boing. So this one is your one with your flats on it. So let's see if we can get a little bit of clean in there and try and stick something down there. A rod or something would be better than what I'm trying to do. Cool. And then maybe clean up a little bit just around these edges where the rubber's going to sit. Don't have to, but it takes 5 minutes. Not even that. As I get dirt all in it again. Cool. Okay. So flats on that side. So got your one with your flats. We've got new rubbers. 2 new rubbers. Let's get out what we need. 2 new bolts, some grease, a little rubbery bit, and that's that for one side. So what we want is, obviously the bigger end is going to go over that, so this end is going to go onto this bit. Always easy to do, love it. Right, so you've now got that seated on there, so that's the equivalent of that. Let's have a quick look at it. It's a bit manky. Right, let's get some grease that comes with it. So I'm sure it's very special. Try not to get it on the ends. So that's one of the pins. Got to get the rubber over. As always, can be one of the hardest bits. Hey, celebrate. There you go, there's one. There's the old one. Let's put it over there, and let's pull this one out. Yeah, that felt very sticky. This is your rubber. Let's clean the outside of this first. Right. And then in there, get that crap out. Try and clean them up as much as you can, obviously. Pretty good. Okay. So on this side, this is the one with your new rubber. Slide your little rubber on, as always. Nothing is simple. Right, and that sits in your machined out part or whatever. I'm going to grease this one up. Put a little rubber on, have I? See, you always forget things. Well, I always forget things. So that goes in this way. Easy, okay. Does it have grease on it? A little bit more on. Right, that's that one. And then favourite bit, getting these on. Hey, wow, finally. Right, okay, so that's your sliding pins. Nice. Okay, so I've actually got some new ones of these as well, which I have to admit I rarely do. Let's see what's going on here. Pad goo, it's very exciting. Right, okay, so these will just be pinged in. Let's just make sure that the least look roughly similar. Like that. To do. Okay. Let's get those out and then give it a damn good. Trying not to completely trash the new rubber you've just put in. Okay, so we're going in like this. Like that. One for the other side, which is that one. Cool. Flip them over. Give that a good clean. Build up in there, so try and get rid of that. Okay. Clip on. So there you go, there's those bits done. What I'm going to do is just go and get some copperies. I'm just going to put some copperies where the pads run, nothing crazy. Oh, they gave me pad goo, didn't they? Oh, let's try pad goo, shall we? Seeing as we've got it. Right, pad goo, here we come. Bit much there, I think. Looks like grease. Hope it's well done. There you go, pad goo. So we're now ready to put the bracket back on. Want some screw lock on these. There we There we go. Okay. So I put screw lock on the bolts for the bracket. Just putting that in now. They were £60 a foot. So use your torque wrench and do those up to £60 a foot. Okay. Now you've got your pads to go back in. Let's put some pad goo on it this one. So this is going to be the piston side of things. Oh, finally, right. There you go. We've got new bolts for these, remember, so they've already got screw compound on them. Remember, this inner bit normally is 17, yes it is. That is a different 12 now, different bolts. So do these up, I believe they are, there is a range, and I think £20 foot would be fine. Alright, if I bought the right socket. So these are now at 12. Like I said, £20 foot, it's not very much. There we go. Sliding caliper, sounds disgusting. Right, so one of the bits we've got left is to put this back on. Got copper washers. If I had some more, I'd probably renew them. But guess what? I don't. Do that up. There we go. So it's all now connected. So I've crimped the brakes off there. They're going to need to be bled. So obviously get your bleeder. Bleed it through. Obviously you most probably have a little bit of air. Keep pressing. It's normally slow movements, not this on the pedal, just nice slow movements. And then when you get where there's no air, get someone or whatever to hold the pedal down, then do it up. And then that'll be your brakes bled. Or if you've got an easy bleeder, then obviously go for that. But I'll get that sorted. It's not a bit you need for this. Bleeding brakes should be fairly self-explanatory, like I just said. And that's all done, and that should be, hopefully, as long as that piston in the back's gone all right with the seals and everything, then that should be it done.